Daddy's gotta go to work.
Dwayne Johnson is a former American wrestler known as The Rock and now a Hollywood actor, producer, and successful businessman. Despite his complicated past, he has achieved fame and a multi-million-dollar fortune, which he spends on himself, loved ones, and charity. So we will tell you about all of this in this video. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. How Hollywood's richest actor lives and how he spends his millions. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born on May 2, 1972, in the California city of Hayward. The family of his mother, Ada, is of Polynesian origin, from the islands of the Samoa, and his father, Rocky Johnson, is a black Nova Scotian with Irish roots. But more importantly, Dwayne's family is closely connected with wrestling. His grandfather, father, uncles, and cousins earn their living in this sport. The boy's mother was her husband's promoter, and his grandmother ran a Polynesian tournament organization. Dwayne also has a half-brother and sister from his father's previous marriage, but they prefer to live away from public attention. The family often moved from place to place, so the boy changed many schools. Only sports remained constant because his father had taken Dwayne to the gym since childhood. At 12, Johnson Jr. decided to lift the barbell, but he overrated his strength, and it crushed him. After that, he began to train under strict parental guidance. Rocky Johnson couldn't boast of great success in wrestling, and therefore seized any opportunity to earn money. He was rarely home, which caused family scandals. The scandals greatly influenced Ada. Once, she even tried to commit suicide by throwing herself under a car, but her son managed to stop her. Dwayne went to high school in Honolulu, Hawaii, where he and his mother rented a small house with their modest savings. The money was not enough for long, and they were evicted for non-payment. And a week earlier, their car had been seized for the same reason. Looking at his mother, Dwayne hated himself for being helpless and dreamed of the day when he would earn enough and not be strapped for cash. Dreams of easy money led the guy to a local gang. Together, they robbed tourists, clothing, and jewelry stores. At school, Dwayne constantly fought with his peers, and by 17, he had 9 arrests for these offenses. When the family moved to Pennsylvania, Johnson entered Freedom High School. There, an American football coach noticed him and invited the tall guy to the team. Back then, Dwayne's height was already about 6 feet 5 inches and 230 pounds. His classmates didn't even think he was a schoolboy, but an undercover drug agent because he was so different from his peers. The actor jokes that it wasn't the height, but the stupid mustache he wore then. In football, Dwayne saw a chance to make his way into the world using legal methods. Later, the actor said that the coach's role in his success was definitely underestimated because he had believed in the bully. From that moment on, Johnson began to show good results in the game and improved his academic performance. The efforts were not in vain, and by graduation, the young man could choose between the best U.S. colleges. Dwayne picked the University of Miami, with its psychology and criminology majors. He lived up to the expectations by winning the National Student Championship in 1991 with the university's team. Dwayne would have continued his sports career, but a year later, he suffered a severe back injury. Without his football potential, the university didn't need him, and the low average scores in his studies didn't allow him to count on a scholarship. The coach's patronage helped him through, and he was allowed to continue his studies. The injury and forced withdrawal from football were a big shock for Johnson. The future that he had drafted for himself crumbled into dust. He was depressed, had nightmares every now and then, and relationships with loved ones didn't go well. That period, Dwayne later called the worst time in his life. The outlet was a romantic relationship with a Cuban girl, Dani Garcia, who also studied at the University of Miami. They dated for many years before getting married in 1997. A few years later, the Johnsons became the parents of a girl, Simone Alexandra. In 1995, Dwayne received his diploma and immediately after graduation, managed to sign a contract with the Canadian football team, Calgary Stampeders. But he only sat on the bench. In Canada, Dwayne lived with two teammates, ate instant noodles, and slept on a dirty mattress, hoping that the coach would give him a chance. However, it didn't happen, and 2 months later, he was cut from the team. The football career was over. With $7 in his pocket, Dwayne had no choice but to contact his father to try his luck in wrestling. With his last money, he bought a bus ticket to Tampa, Florida, and settled down with his Johnson Sr. in a tiny apartment. Dwayne's debut in the WWE Survivor Series took place in November 1996 under the name Rocky Maivia, a combination of his father's and grandfather's ring names. He was, in his own opinion, absolutely not ready for battle. Even the shorts were borrowed from his uncle. During his first performances, Dwayne played the nice guy, but the audience didn't like it. Every time he entered the ring, the crowd greeted him with booing. Then, the wrestler changed tactics and showed the audience his aggressive alter ego, The Rock, and it was a success. In his new spectacular role, he managed to earn public attention. In 1999, he received his first WWF title. That year became the starting point of Dwayne's acting career. In one of the first episodes of That 70s Show, he appeared as his father and starred in the comedy show Saturday Night Live. After the show, several Hollywood studios took interest in Johnson. In 2000, Johnson appeared in an episode of the TV series Star Trek Voyager as an alien gladiator. He also released an autobiographical book, The Rock Says, which debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. It only sparked Hollywood bosses' interest. Unlike many other aspiring actors, The Rock didn't have to grasp at any role opportunity. He was just waiting for big projects and spectacular roles to find him, and they did. In 2001, he got a supporting role in the movie The Mummy Returns. As the Scorpion King, Johnson spoke the ancient Egyptian language, and during the filming, he got a sunstroke and food poisoning. After that, he started working on the spin-off The Scorpion King, which got him into the Guinness Book of Records as the actor who received the largest payout for his first major role in a movie. It amounted to $5.5 million.
What business do you have here?
I've come to collect a bounty. Horse thief.
Ah, I know this dog.
The movie even references Dwayne's wrestling career, namely, a fragment of the melody that played when he entered the ring. The next payout for the main role in the adventure thriller The Rundown in 2003 was already $12.5 million, and the movie Walking Tall a year later brought in $15 million. Then, Dwayne's sports contract had ended, and he focused on his acting career. In the next few years, The Rock appeared in the comedy Be Cool, the horror film Doom, the fantasy thriller Southland Tales, and the almost autobiographical sports drama Gridiron Gang. The latter is about a teacher in a juvenile colony who tries to help prisoners get off the criminal track with the help of American football.
Kid Roger, but you're gonna be back out on the streets tomorrow. Back in your hood with your homies. If you want to stay alive, you gotta make a life for yourself outside of your set. If you don't do that, if you don't find an alternative, you're gonna die.
In real life, Dwayne also started helping people by creating a personal fund. The charity works with children who suffer from severe illnesses, disorders, and disabilities. In addition to direct financial assistance, the celebrity regularly visits children in hospitals. In 2007, Johnson and Danny Garcia announced an amicable divorce. Not only did they not fight for custody of Simone or argue over property, but they also have remained good friends. Dwayne pays $22,000 a month for his daughter's daily expenses, not counting another $5,000 for her education. During the divorce, Johnson worked on the film The Game Plan, where he again used his American football skills and translated his love for Elvis Presley to the screen. Filming took place in Boston, and in one of the restaurants, he saw a charming woman. It was singer Lauren Hashian, and they became friends. Only a year later, the relationship moved on to a new level. Meanwhile, Dwayne Johnson added an episode of the TV series Hannah Montana and the comedy thriller Get Smart to his filmography. In 2009, the science fiction film Race to Witch Mountain and the cartoon Planet 51 were released. After that, Johnson voiced in the animated series Family Guy and Transformers Prime, and played a cameo in the films Why Did I Get Married To and You Again. In addition, he got roles in the action movies Faster, for which he studied the fighting style of American prisoners, and the comedies The Other Guys and Tooth Fairy.
Oh, by the way, I need some more stuff.
Stuff?
Stuff, the magic powder, the gunk, the stuff. I need some. Notify Q.
No.
2011 was a big year for the actor because he appeared in the 5th part of the popular racing franchise Fast and Furious.
The hardest possible way, so make sure you got your underwear on. We find them, we take them as a team, and we bring them back. And above all else, we don't ever let them get in the cars.
His role was expanded, as fans wanted to see Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel in the same frame. The Rock's payout amounted to $10 million. A year later, the actor starred in the adventure family film Journey 2, The Mysterious Island, which became one of his first works as a producer. Johnson, with his ex-wife Dani Garcia and her brother, founded the film company Seven Bucks Productions to create their own projects. The name refers to the period when his football career ended and he only had $7 in his pocket. At the same time, The Rock announced his return to the ring. On January 7, 2013, he officially returned to the Federation, and in the same year, won his 8th WWE Championship title. In total, during his wrestling career, he became a champion 17 times. At the peak of his form, the athlete's biceps reached 21 inches, and he could bench press 230 pounds 33 times. At the same time, Johnson didn't stop acting in films. He appeared in such films as Snitch, Empire State, Pain and Gain, Fast and Furious 6, and G.I. Joe: Retaliation. The payouts for the last two were $10 and $15 million accordingly. In 2014, Dwayne tried his hand at playing a Greek demigod in the adventure film Hercules and received $12 million for the role.
Any longer, Uncle?
And the girls would finally be safe from your attentions.
To gain the necessary physique, the already athletic actor trained hard for 8 months, but shortly before the filming started, he had undergone surgery. Despite this, he insisted on doing the battle scenes without the help of stuntmen, and it took 4 hours to put makeup on the actor every day. 2015 was very productive for Dwayne. He appeared in the fantasy film Journ and the Holograms, Furious 7, with a payout of $15 million, and the action movie San Andreas, with a payout of $25 million. Dwayne performed some of the stunts himself. For example, he descended on a rope from a helicopter at an altitude of about 50 yards, so the audience could see real emotions on his face. Johnson thoroughly prepared for the role. He consulted with first responders and also spent some time with helicopter pilots of the Search and Rescue Unit of the Los Angeles Fire Department. This film is notable not only for its tough filming, but also for its premiere. On the red carpet, The Rock set a Guinness World Record by taking 105 selfies in 3 minutes. At the same time, the TV series Boulders premiered, in which only Dwayne was considered for the lead role.
Keep fucking up like this, you keep acting like a little kid. When it's done, and you're done, you're gonna be broke and miserable. And you know what the worst part about it is? Nobody will give a fuck about you. I've been there.
For this project, the actor lost almost 23 pounds and in the shot wore a Solomon Rocky Johnson t-shirt in tribute to his father. The footage at the beginning of the show references his football past. In it, Dwayne wears the uniform of the University of Miami. The payout for each episode was $650,000. Along with his career successes came a joyful event in his personal life. At the end of the year, he and Lauren had a daughter, Jasmine. In 2016, viewers saw the crime comedy Central Intelligence, for which Johnson received $14 million, and the cartoon Moana.
I see what's happening, yeah. You're face to face with greatness and it's strange. You don't even know how you feel. It's adorable.
In it, the actor voiced a character named Maui, showed off his good vocal skills, and helped shape the hero's appearance. Maui was based on Dwayne's grandfather, and his tattoos are similar to those on The Rock's body. This is a traditional Polynesian tattoo from the Samoan culture, which contains Johnson's life story and personal values. It took 60 hours to create it. By the way, although the celebrity lives in the USA, he has Samoan citizenship and is proud of his origins. Nowadays, Johnson's high fees secured him first place in the ranking of the highest paid actors, according to Forbes. From June 2015 to June 2016, he earned $64.5 million, more than doubling his income from the previous year. A year later, Dwayne's earnings grew by another $500,000. In 2017, The Rock appeared in Baywatch, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, with a payout of $20 million, and The Fate of the Furious, for which he received $10 million. Filming in the latter ended in a serious conflict on professional grounds with Vin Diesel. The actors reconciled only recently, and before that, they hadn't appeared together on screen. Then, he added several other movies to his filmography, like Rampage and Skyscraper, for which he received $20 million. Soon, Forbes estimated his annual income at a hefty $124 million, and Johnson's family welcomed a new member, daughter Tiana. Moreover, Dwayne was present at the birth, and later called it the most amazing experience in his life. A year later, he and Lauren finally decided to legalize their relationship and had a modest wedding in Hawaii. The actor admitted that after his divorce, he was afraid of marriage for a long time, but fortunately, Lauren had enough patience. Meanwhile, viewers could see Dwayne Johnson in the films Fighting with My Family, Jumanji, The Next Level, and Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, for which the actor earned $20 million.
Stand in there. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna rip the arm off this chair. I'm gonna smash him right in the face, stab him right in the neck for looking that way, kill all 13 guys in 7 seconds.
In total during that year, he received, according to Forbes, almost $90 million. At the same time, Dwayne announced the end of his wrestling career. In 2021, Johnson received $22 million for his role in the Disney film Jungle Cruise and $20 million for the comedy thriller Red Notice. In addition, he gave his voice to one of the characters in the film Free Guy and presented the series about himself called Young Rock. This summer, the actor voiced the dog Crypto in the cartoon Super Pets and turned into a superhero in the action comic adaptation Black Adam.
You killed him, didn't you?
He didn't make it.
Interestingly, Dwayne once asked his fan which character they would like to see him as, Shazam or Black Adam. The majority preferred the second. The Rock calls the work on this particular character the most difficult in his film career, but he's ready to play him in all the upcoming films of the franchise. Now the shooting of the comedy thriller Red One is underway. The sequels to Red Notice and Jungle Cruise are also in the planning stage. As a producer, Johnson considered rebooting the Scorpion King movie series. We must say, his production company brings him a considerable profit. Dwayne Johnson's net worth is estimated at $820 million, and nothing can stop him from becoming a billionaire in the coming years. The celebrity monetizes literally everything he does, and even for the promotion of his films on his own social media, asks for an additional $4 million. The Rock is not only a successful actor and producer, but also a successful businessman. In March 2020, he teamed up with like-minded tequila lovers and created an affordable alcohol, Terramana Tequila. If, by the end of the year, the company fulfills its plan to sell 600,000 boxes, it will be estimated at least $3 billion. Dwayne also invested in the Salt and Straw Ice Cream Company, the Voss drinking water brand, and the XFL American Football League. The list of his advertising contracts included the Got Milk campaign, Apple and their voice assistant Siri, NASCAR Racing, the Ford cars, and the sports brand Under Armour pays Johnson about $25 million a year. But Dwayne refused to cooperate with Dunkin' Donuts to have a donut with his name, considering that it would make him arrogant. This characteristic doesn't suit The Rock at all, because he's always ready to thank everyone who helps him. Johnson gave his cousin, housekeeper, and uncle, who once lent him wrestling shorts, a car each. The actor gave his sister a Cadillac Escalade, 2 cars and a house to his father, and he moved his mother to a 6-bedroom mansion with an area of more than 4,300 square feet. Well, she received a car too. Dwayne spends even more money on charity. For example, in 2006, he donated $2 million to the University of Miami and gave the Mustang gifted by the Ford Company to a U.S. veteran, Marlene Rodriguez. Johnson invests his millions in real estate and has sold more than a dozen homes over the past few years. He has recently been living in a mansion in the mountains of Beverly Hills, for which he paid $28.7 million. Of course, there is a large gym inside, which the actor calls the Iron Paradise. He previously owned a house near Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but sold it in 2019 for $4.5 million, as well as an estate in Powder Springs, Georgia, for $9.5 million. For some reason, Dwayne put this property up for sale just 14 months after buying it at a loss, even though he had 8 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, and even stables with an adjacent riding arena at his disposal. Dwayne Johnson's automotive history began with an old Ford for $40, and now in his collection, there is a Ford F-150, a Chevy Chevelle of '71, and a Pagani Huayra, into which he hardly fits but loves to appear at premieres in. Also in his garage, you can find Ferrari LaFerrari, Ford GT, Rolls-Royce Wraith, Ford Hennessey, Velociraptor, Porsche Panamera Mansory, McLaren 650S, Range Rover, and Cadillac Escalade, on which The Rock prefers to travel with a driver. And in his Lamborghini Huracan, the actor sometimes becomes the driver himself, for sick kids who have wished for a sports car for Christmas. To save time, Dwayne travels on a Gulfstream G650 private jet, but it is unknown whether it's his personal property or rented. Dwayne prefers to relax while fishing, loves to play the guitar, and just adores animals. 2 French bulldogs live in his house, Hobbs and Brutus, but The Rock is afraid of spiders. And which Dwayne Johnson movie do you like the most?
You're welcome! And thank you!
If you like the video, leave a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything interesting.